Page 59. Reading.
The Kite Runner. The Kite Runner is the story of Amir, a young Afghan who flees war-torn Kabul in the 1980s and then immigrates to the United States. The events in these extracts take place during his childhood before the war. Extract 1.
In school, we used to play a game called Sherjangi, or Battle of the Poems. The Farsi teacher moderated it, and it went something like this. You recited a verse from a poem, and your opponent had 60 seconds to reply with a verse that began with the same letter that ended yours. Everyone in my class wanted me on their team, because by the time I was 11, I could recite dozens of verses from Khayyam, Hafiz, or Rumi's famous Masnawi. One time, I took on the whole class and won. I told Baba about it later that night, but he just nodded, muttered, "Good."
Extract 2.
Of course, marrying a poet was one thing, but fathering a son who preferred burying his face in poetry books to hunting, well, that wasn't how Baba had envisioned it, I suppose. Real men didn't read poetry, and God forbid they should ever write it. Real men, real boys, played soccer just as Baba had when he had been young. Now that was something to be passionate about. In 1970, Baba took a break from the construction of the orphanage and flew to Tehran for a month to watch the World Cup games on television, since at the time, Afghanistan didn't have TVs yet. He signed me up for soccer teams to stir the same passion in me.
Extract 3.
When it became abundantly clear that I hadn't inherited a shred of his athletic talents, he settled for trying to turn me into a passionate spectator. Certainly I could manage that, couldn't I? I faked interest for as long as possible. I cheered with him when Kabul's team scored against Kandahar and yelped insults at the referee when he called a penalty against our team. But Baba sensed my lack of genuine interest and resigned himself to the bleak fact that his son was never going to either play or watch soccer.
Extract 4.
Later that night, I was passing by my father's study when I overheard him speaking to Rahim Khan. I pressed my ear to the closed door. "Grateful that he's healthy," Rahim Khan was saying. I know, but he's always buried in those books or shuffling around the house like he's lost in some dream." And I wasn't like that. Baba sounded frustrated, almost angry. Rahim Khan laughed. "Children aren't coloring books. You don't get to fill them with your favorite colors." "I'm telling you," Baba said, "I wasn't like that at all, and neither were any of the kids I grew up with." "You know, sometimes you are the most self-centered man I know," Rahim Khan said. He was the only person I knew who could get away with saying something like that to Baba. "It has nothing to do with that." "Nay?" "Nay." "Then what?" I heard the leather of Baba's seat creaking as he shifted on it. I closed my eyes, pressed my ear even harder against the door, wanting to hear, not wanting to hear. Sometimes, I look out this window and I see him playing on the street with the neighborhood boys. I see how they push him around, take his toys from him, give him a shove here, a whack there. And you know, he never fights back. Never. He just drops his head and... "So he's not violent," Rahim Khan said. "That's not what I mean, Rahim, and you know it," Baba shot back. "There is something missing in that boy.